to WindowCast, the official podcast of Window Indoor Magazine and the National Glass Association. I'm Laurie Cowin, editor of Window Indoor Magazine. We're recording this episode at GlassBuild America 2024 in Dallas in a glass-enclosed podcast studio with glass provided by Old Castle Building Envelope. Before we kick things off, I want to acknowledge our podcast studio sponsors, North American Specialty Laminators, Schott and Veka. We're recording this episode from the GlassBuild podcast studio right on the show floor. So I have to start by asking Kevin, how's the show?
Well, the show's going really good. It's been really busy yesterday in the afternoon and excellent today. It's just very crowded, so we're looking forward to having a great show.
All right, absolutely. Well, we are here today talking with Kevin Seiling, the Vice President of Engineering and New Business Development at Veka, and we are going to be talking about vinyl and sustainability. Kevin is very involved with the industry and holds various titles. In addition to Veka, he is also on the FGIA Board of Directors, the first Vice President of the Vinyl Materials Council, and also the Residential Chairman of the FGIA Sustainability Steering Committee. Did I catch it all, Kevin?
That's very good, yeah.
All right, absolutely. Well, let's just kick right off with talking about some of the topics relating to sustainability, recycling, and vinyl. So, Kevin, what is the LEED program through USGBC, and why does it matter to our industry?
Well, you hit it on the head. LEEDs is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, and there's over 120,000 registered architects in the U.S., but there's 203,000 LEEDs professionals. So it's a very popular program among the architectural community, and it's actually doing very well to save energy. And the GSA, General Services Administration, is the U.S. government, owns more buildings than anyone, so they specify LEEDs, so it's important to be involved in this program.
What is new about LEED version 5?
So LEED 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4 had a lot of learning curves, recycling, all kinds of things. And finally on LEED version 5, they've got to the point where they stopped worrying about producing environmental product declarations and working on improving them. So how do we make environmental product declarations better, right? So that's sort of phase 2. Now that we have them and they're mainstream, how do we get better?
Absolutely. So, can you talk to me a bit about what an environmental product declaration is?
So an EPD, environmental product declaration, describes the impact on the environment in terms of carbon footprint, and that's the most important one to most professionals. At acidification, eutrophication, what it does to the water, what it does to the air quality. So that it's not supposed to be used for comparison, but it gives you a sort of a rank order of the effect that your product has. And in our case, cradle to gate, meaning from the time you start working on it till the time you ship it to your customer, what effect it has on the environment.
How does the company go about getting an EPD?
So I think these 200,000 professionals use all these acronyms to confuse everyone. So an EPD is developed based on a PCR, which is product category rules. So for the vinyl window industry or the window and door industry, we have a updated PCR, product category rules. And so what you do is you hire a program operator like UL Underwriters Laboratory or ASTM to develop that EPD based on the PCR. You SEE, get it?
Okay, yes. Those are a lot of letters.
Exactly.
Now, the NGA, FGIA, and WDMA jointly released an updated product category rule for windows earlier this year. What do window manufacturers need to be aware of with the new PCR?
Well, so this is really exciting. The new PCR has very few changes, and it is cradle to gate. But what's important is that the architects and specifier in LEED version 4, you would get 1 point for a EPD and a half a point for industry-wide. Well, now in LEED version 5, which will publish in early 2025, you can get extra points for improving your product. So now that we have this PCR and we have a life cycle assessment for vinyl windows that we're going to talk about in a little bit, and you have LCAs for glass and process glass, you can put together an EPD that is based on common practices in our industry. Prior to this, people were reaching all over the world, over to Europe, to create an EPD, and nobody really believed it.
Now, I know we talked about LEED and the benefit of EPDs for people pursuing the LEED program. Are there other programs that require EPDs?
Well, there are. I just looked on the website this morning. There are 197,000 LEEDs projects all over the world in 186 countries, and it's over 2 billion square feet. So even though it's a requirement in the US and US GBC, it's voluntary everywhere else in the world, but people are using it because they see the benefits of it, the environmental soundness of it. So uh, the other programs that use it are the 2024 IGCC, which I-g, which is International Green Construction Code. And that's through ASHRAE 189.1, which architecture specifiers either use the building codes, the IBC, or the ASHRAE. Right? They're sort of interchangeable. And then you have Cal Green in California, and cities like San Francisco, Colorado, Denver, and state of Colorado, Oregon, state of Toronto, New York City, Chicago, and Boston, all have some type of proposal or legislation in the works or already passed to specify LEEDs and LCAs. So it's all about carbon footprint. So it's actually getting very broad support.
There's a lot happening in that space, and it sounds like all the way from the national level and in certain cases down to the city level that it's important.
Yeah, it's really good timing, because if you're a residential window manufacturer and you want to play in the light commercial or commercial architectural space, they're going to ask you about LEEDs or EPDs. And even if you're supplying a big builder or big box, they have architectural specifiers. They care about it too. So it's in everyone's best interest to consider EPDs for their products.
I understand that several members of FGIA are about a year into work to deliver an industry-wide LCA for vinyl window profiles. Can you tell me about the report, what it entails, and how the industry can and should use it?
Well, we tried to fund the project through FGIA, but they're material neutral. So we got tired of waiting. So half a dozen companies, Veka is one of them, got together. We self-funded it, and we hired an program operator to develop an LCA for vinyl windows. So it's twofold. It's industry-wide for anybody that extrudes vinyl window profiles, and it's extruder specific for the half a dozen companies that contributed to it. So for example, Veka, we can reference an industry-wide one, but we can also do location specific, because we extrude in Pittsburgh, Dallas, and Reno. So if you're buying your profiles in Reno, you want the Reno LCA, not the Pittsburgh one, and vice versa, right? So that's been self-funded. We've already received the final draft, and it'll be published soon. And so if you have an LCA, which is cradle to gate, then you can use that to make an EPD with your actual vinyl window supplier. And you can also find your glass supplier LCA, and then you have a very accurate representation of the product that you're selling into the market.
Okay. What are Scope 3 emissions?
Well, see, Scope 3 is part of the LEEDs version 5. So LEEDs 4 was great. You can get an EPD, and you can just say, in theory, you can say, here's my environmental product declaration, and my product is terrible. I pollute I poison my employees, I pollute the air, and I pollute the water, but here's my EPD. Okay. LEEDs version 5, they expect you to get better and better and better. And also in LEEDs version 5, they are asking about Scope 3 emissions. And Scope 3 is what your supplier does. So it's great if you have an environmentally friendly company and mission statement, but if you buy everything from a third world country where they're polluting everything and poisoning the waters, the air, and their people, you're not really doing the world any good service, right? So Scope 3 is, what are your suppliers doing? And if you have an LCA like we do for vinyl windows, then that really covers it. If you don't, then they're asking things about how you make your product, what you do to the air, the water, the environment.
Okay. So it's very comprehensive, that they're looking beyond just when if they're looking beyond what they used to make sure the whole process is friendly and sustainable.
It's the entire life cycle of the product, the entire circle of it, right? So that's what they want to make sure is that you're not just doing it to get credit for it, that you actually are doing something good for the environment. So, and then it'll become competitive, very competitive.
Now, can we move on to a little bit about recycling?
Sure, and this ties in. So the Vinyl Institute is trying to promote recycling, post-consumer recycling, which is very well done in the international community. In Europe, there's at least 3 recycling centers where they recycle entire windows that have been owned by Veka, but there's other manufacturers now that do it too. But in the U.S., there has been very little post-consumer recycling. So I wrote a grant on behalf of FGIA and the Vinyl Materials Council requesting the VI to fund a market study. And they approved the grant and they funded the study, and Ducker, a very reputable company, did the study for us. And the results are very encouraging because there's hundreds of millions of pounds of vinyl windows that are coming out of openings. And so what we're looking for is what's the age of the window. Since 1997, we've been lead free, so it can't be pre-97, and so maybe 2000 should go. What's the material type? Is it vinyl? If it's vinyl, then we want to know about it because we want to try to recycle it. Doesn't matter what they're replacing it with. They can replace it with wood or fiberglass or aluminum, but we want to know if vinyl windows coming out. And what's the operator type? Is it a casement? Is it a double hung? Is it a patio door? That'll help us determine the amount of volume that's available. And I'll just give you an example. In my neighborhood, the houses are 24 years old. So throughout COVID, I can watch all the houses in the neighborhood get new vinyl siding and new windows. And they threw it all in a dumpster. While the Vinyl Siding Institute has renamed themselves PEPA, the Polymer Exterior Profile Association, and they've developed a program called Revinylize, and they're trying to recycle vinyl siding. So we're going to piggyback on that program and try to recycle the post-consumer vinyl windows. And so the study that was funded by the VI has determined that there's really good opportunity, and for us as a pilot program in the Midwest, in Ohio, Pennsylvania, in that region. It's a little harder in the West because there's not a lot of windows coming out of openings, and there's a lot of distance to cover. But in the Midwest, so Ohio through the Carolinas, a lot of replacement windows. So we're going to that pilot pro that we're going we wrote another grant. I wrote another grant request to the VI to have a pilot recycling program, and so that is out for review with the VI. But I fully expect them to approve it, and then we're going to be working on post-consumer recycling. So we have to go to a self-furnish install window manufacturer or a window dealer. And I won't mention names, but we all know who they are, and we convince them to, instead of throwing the windows in a dumpster that they replace, take them back to the window manufacturer or to the distribution site, then take it back to the recycling center with piggybacking with Vinylize to the recycler, grind it up, and then we're going to recycle it. And I've already laid the groundwork with the FGIA to certify those products. So this is a 2025 project where we're going to have post-consumer recycled content in AMA certified vinyl windows. So that's the goal for 2025, and we'll be looking for partners on that. So if you're out there, manufacturers, window manufacturers, dealers, and you want to partner, look me up, and we'll put you on the list of companies that want to do that.
All right, that is exciting. It sounds like there's tremendous opportunity there.
There is, and the one great thing about it is that if you're in the LEEDs program or you have an EPD and you add post-consumer recycled content in LEEDs version 5, you get credit for it. You didn't in 4, but you will in 5. So it's perfect timing. It's all coming together. So post-consumer recycled vinyl windows will improve your EPD, your window EPD, which is what everybody wants.
Absolutely. Well, Cowin, thank you so much for your time this morning and all of this information. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about or that we didn't touch on yet?
Well, I did make one final note. When you think about a corporation, right, like your company, right, you have your company and your mission statement. So if you're not sure what's a good environmental mission statement, you should check out Vinyl Vantage. They talk about company goals and missions. But then you also have a building, right? And does your building, is it environmentally friendly? Is it not polluting? Are they using the right types of utilities, right? And that would be something like Green Circle certified, right? So your mission, your building, and then your products. And products come from EPDs, right? If you do all three of those things, then you really have a good reputation for being environmentally friendly, which is what Veka and a lot of other companies are working towards.
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to hearing about the continued success and of all of these programs, and of course all of the acronyms that we went through today with EPDs and LCAs, LEED, and so much more. Yes, NGA, of course. We can't forget that.
Great.
Well, thank you again for tuning into WindowCast, and thank you to our GlassBuild podcast studio sponsors, North American Specialty Laminators, Schott and Veka, and thank you to Old Castle Building Envelope for providing the glass for our on-site podcast studio. Thank you, Cowin.
Thank you.